The Alpine Formula 1 team is back in the headlines as the race seat alongside Esteban Ocon is yet to be filled for the 2023 season. Among the over a dozen drivers who have expressed interest in the French team, one unexpected contender has emerged as a possible replacement for what was initially a drive for Oscar Piastri. In this video, we'll talk about who that driver is, why he's suddenly the frontrunner to get the Alpine seat, and what the team's other options are. So fasten your seatbelts and away we go. Alpine are currently unsure of their second driver for 2023, despite having confirmed Oscar Piastri for the role following Fernando Alonso's departure for Aston Martin. Immediately following Oscar Piastri's confirmation, the reigning Formula 2 champion issued a statement on social media denying that he was signing a deal with Alpine and will not be racing for the French team next season. Piastri's public refusal to join Alpine for his rookie season is a result of a bidding war between Alpine and McLaren, with the Woking-based team now confirming the signing of Piastri as a replacement for Daniel Ricciardo. Joining the Australian game of musical chairs, 19-year-old Formula 2 driver Jack Doohan is hoping to take advantage of a potential opening at Alpine if the stars align, and is looking really promising for the young Aussie at the moment. Doohan, like Piastri, is a member of the Alpine Driver Academy and would be the next most logical driver for Alpine to approach if they decide against an internal hire. Having had a chance to sample Alpine's A521 earlier this year, Doohan has won 2 races in Formula 2 this season as he races for Uni Virtuosi and is currently 9th in the championship. When asked if he'd be ready to take his F1 debut if Alpine came calling, the Australian said he believes that he's ready for the step up. I think it would be very difficult to turn down the opportunity no matter what. Luckily, I've had the opportunity to be able to have a little bit of experience. It definitely helped having some time in an F1 car rather than none. However, there'd still be a lot of learning, a lot of in-depth study to be able to make sure I was up to par with what would be needed to do that. But could Alpine really summon Jack Doohan? While stranger things have happened, Alpine is unlikely to take the risk of promoting the driver second in line to an F1 cockpit simply because the first in line failed to work out. And because Alpine does not have a customer team affiliation, the manufacturer has no place for Doohan to gain experience before making the jump to the main squad. Prior to a few weeks ago, the most appealing option for the French team was Daniel Ricciardo, but there are increasing rumors of the Australian taking a one-year break. Alpine is also interested in acquiring Pierre Gasly from AlphaTauri, but Red Bull, which owns the Frenchman's contract, has stated that it will only release him if it obtains IndyCar driver Colton Herta. The chances of a Herta deal becoming a reality are dwindling, with the American in need of a super license in hopes of being granted exemption from the FIA fading. There are a few other experienced options on the market for Alpine, including Nico Hülkenberg, who could be a good fit but is nearing the end of his career. This is why young people like Doohan have a chance. However, when asked about the type of driver Alpine was looking for, CEO Laurent Rossi stated that the team's priority was to secure a driver who would score points right away rather than taking time to develop. We need to find a driver that's capable of scoring big points right away. That basically leads us towards a more senior driver, if you will, but at the same time that is capable to grow with us. So those are the criteria we use at the moment. Otmar Zafnauer is leading the process, seeing all of the drivers, discussing with them, assessing options, assessing them here, potentially assessing them in test. So I guess that's going to be a process that is going to last a little bit. But we want to make the right decision and there's no hurry. Doohan did his chances of getting a race seat at Alpine in 2023 no harm at Monza last weekend when he took pole position for the feature race. When asked if the Australian was on the team's radar, Rossi replied, "Yeah, absolutely. Jack certainly has a very good sense of timing because he's performing immensely at the moment. To be honest, we already knew he was very fast, the raw speed he has, but he has gained in maturity a lot. It shows on the track, but also off track. I mean, the conversations we have are very impressive. I think something clicked. He had made a step, which is really good." Despite the allocates, Rossi believes that someone like Doohan would benefit from a year or two away from the pressure of a top team to learn the ropes at a smaller outfit. And regardless of his worth, the team believes that the best path for a young driver is to join a team where they are under less pressure to perform. That brings us back to Nick DeVries, the next and possibly more promising contender. DeVries was a last-minute call-up to Williams for the Italian Grand Prix, replacing Alex Albon, who was sidelined with appendicitis. DeVries only stepped in for Williams for the final practice session on Saturday after driving for the Aston Martin team in Friday's practice, fulfilling one of that team's rookie requirements for FP1s this season. But he quickly adjusted and outqualified full-time Williams driver Nicholas Latifi on his way to Q2. Penalties for the other drivers propelled DeVries to 8th place on the grid, and he drove an outstanding race to finish 9th and scored points on his debut. That immediately puts him ahead of Latifi, the only full-time 2022 driver without a point, in the driver's standings, and there is no longer any competitive reason for Williams not to hire DeVries full-time for 2023. Alpine, however, could make a bid for Williams' signature. A 2021 car test is expected to take place at the Hungaroring during the gap between the Italian GP and the Singapore round at the end of September, and DeVries is expected to participate. It would also make sense for Doohan to participate in the Budapest test, given that he is still on Alpine's shortlist. Of course, DeVries' time behind the wheel at Monza will undoubtedly elevate him above Doohan in Alpine's eyes, but the prospect of forcing his way into contention at Alpine complicates DeVries' decision. It is unclear whether DeVries' Williams chances would be jeopardized if he waited, but he may have to choose between a guaranteed seat at Williams and waiting to see if Alpine's interest turns into a firmer offer. DeVries, meanwhile, believes that he has demonstrated that he would not be out of place on the grid, but added that there is no guarantee after the race. This world is very volatile, and it's not only merit counts, so it's out of my control. But this debut, no one can take away from me. So regardless of the future, whether I'm here or not, I can look back on a proud debut in the first moment in Formula One. I enjoyed it. Though DeVries downplayed his chances, it appears he will have the power to decide his own future. Following Mercedes' withdrawal from Formula E, DeVries has been lined up for Maserati Formula E and Toyota World Endurance Championship drives. Williams CEO Jost Capito stated that DeVries only needs to choose between those programs and switching to F1, implying that he has a seat at Williams if he can back out of his Maserati and Toyota deals, both of which have yet to be formally announced, and does not pursue any other F1 offers. So, what happens to Alpine if DeVries decides to pursue Williams? While there are drivers all over the world who want that seat, it appears that very few meet their requirements. There appear to be only two options if Alpine is serious about only hiring non-rookie drivers. Zafnar was asked specifically about Formula One's German drivers, having previously stated that there is a short list of 14 drivers. The two are Mick Schumacher, whose contract with Haas expires at the end of the season, and Nico Hülkenberg, who is Aston Martin's reserve driver after failing to re-enter the grid. We're also talking to the German drivers. I get along with both of them. Both are extremely fast, but we have yet to make a decision. In addition to Esteban, we need someone with experience and speed. Let's say our list also includes the German drivers. That possibly rules Doohan out of a promotion to the F1 team, but the possibility of a short-term stay with a team like Haas remains, possibly with some monetary compensation from Alpine. Nonetheless, it appears that the hype surrounding the Australian has subsided, with reports now pointing to Nick DeVries as the hot prospect who can spark yet another feud. But what are your thoughts? Is Jack Doohan on Alpine's shortlist if Nick DeVries cannot be signed up? Are there other options, such as Nico Hülkenberg's long-awaited return to the sport? Let us know in the comments section down below. And if you enjoyed the video, consider liking and subscribing. It helps us out a lot.